Hey, what's up everybody? It's Jamie here with the Absolute Basketball Experience with Jamie Shaw. We're coming at you today with some NBA draft talk. So yesterday, Jonathan Givony and Mike Schmitz with ESPN Draft. NBA Draft released their most recent mock draft. In this video, we're going to take a look at this current projected draft. And we're going to put it side by side with what they did February of this year, and then also last year back in June with the mock draft type of movement they had, the players where they're at and all that kind of stuff. We wanted to take a look in this specific episode at their current top 10 and then look at some movement over the mocks, and then also give you our own personal mock draft and what we're thinking about for the top 10 currently. But before we get into it, we ask that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then if you enjoy the content, if you would please share it on your own personal platforms, that would be great and very helpful. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Many people are talking about this draft being down. There aren't many bigs in it, a lot of tweeners or some current things that you hear. So it's going to be interesting to see with most of the pre-draft workouts and meetings not being able to happen because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The normal combines and workouts and interviews and meetings will just not be able to take place in person. But be sure here that you check out Jonathan Givony at Draft Express, and then Mike Schmitz at Mike_Schmitz on Twitter. Great follows. Lots of information and stuff. But let's go ahead and jump in to the draft. Number one pick, they had Anthony Edwards going to Golden State. 18 years old, 6'4", 218 with a 6'10" wingspan. His per 40 stats the 2019-20 year as a freshman at Georgia. 23.1 points, 6.3 boards. He shot 29.4% from three and 40% from the field, and also had a 3.4 to 3.3 assist to turnover ratio per 40. As you can tell with the stats, his efficiency and IQ are a question mark. What you love about him is also kind of his detriment, his aggressiveness and ability to score and willingness to score and confidence to score. He's a really good one-on-one player. He is a creator on the ball and has confidence for days, but he does need to tighten up his shooting a little bit. But his explosion, his skill set, his ability to score the ball is clearly evident. They want to put him here with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, plug and play with the Golden State. Second, they went James Wiseman out of Memphis to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 18 years old, 7 foot, 250, with a 7'5" wingspan. He only played in 3 games with Memphis. He had a 9-game suspension, and instead of coming back after those 9 games, he just said he'd work out, withdrew from school and all that kind of stuff. Wiseman's size, length, and athleticism combination is intoxicating. He's also got some ball skills, and he looks good. He looks like he knows what he's doing and stuff. But when you really dive into the numbers, you kind of see a lot of, he's just not very efficient with his numbers. He's not very efficient with what he puts up and produces. And then also, it's easy to kind of with him mix up athleticism and explosion with fluidity. He's got the fluidness. Does he necessarily have the explosion? Does he have the ability to guard, pick and roll? Does he know who he is as a player, and does he read the game? Does he have a feel for the game very well? Those are all questions that are going to be asked about him. However, it's easy to see the talent and skill set with his size and some of the things that he's able to do. Third to the Atlanta Hawks, they have Okongwu of Auburn. 6'6", 225, 19-year-old with a 6'10" wingspan. His per 40 stats this past season as a sophomore at Auburn: 16.3 points, 5.6 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 1.3 blocks. He has some intrigue in there as a two-way wing with some defensive versatility and the ability to create on offense. The question marks coming from him are going to be his ability or inability to shoot the ball, but also being able to create and all that kind of stuff on offense. He's got a little bit of ways to go on offense. Defensively, he's a little bit more upside and everything, but his ability as a two-way wing with a lot of positives there are kind of where people are seeing here and what's caused him to take this leap, because at this time last year he wasn't even on the rankings, or he wasn't even on the mock drafts at all. Fourth, the Minnesota Timberwolves are looking at LaMelo Ball. Everybody knows that name. He played with Illawarra of the New Zealand League. Big point guard, 6'7". He has great size. He's great in the pick and roll. He's able to shoot the ball, but he doesn't necessarily efficiently shoot the ball. People are going to question his overall athleticism. People are going to question his ability to get by players, but it's easy to see. I think this past year also in New Zealand did a lot to answer any maturity questions he may have had, taking the role as a professional, playing as a professional, taking on a leadership role with his team. He kind of answered a lot of those questions. the jumbo size, 6'7", 6'8", good length. As a point guard is going to be very attractive in this draft. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up going, and if he actually does it, in fact, fall to number 4. A lot of people have him possibly going number 1 as well. So his is going to be pretty interesting to see how it plays out. 5th, the Detroit Pistons. ESPN draft gurus had them taking Okongwu out of Southern Cal. Interesting enough, Okongwu and LaMelo Ball were teammates in high school at Chino Hills for a year. Okongwu is a 19-year-old, 6'9", 245, with a 7'2" wingspan. His per 40 stats at USC last year: 21.2 points, 11.3 rebounds, 3.5 blocks, 1.4 steals. He shot 61.6% from the field and 72% from the free throw line. Okongwu has great length. He has great natural skills as a defender. He's switchable. He has very good footwork, quick feet, and he's got great timing both in the passing lanes and blocking shots. Offensively, he's very good, 5 feet and in, both left hand and right hand. He's got great footwork and patience. He's only 6'9". He plays right now as a pure 5, which is going to be interesting to see how that translates at the next level. He doesn't do much stepping away from the basket 5 feet and out with the ability or inability to put it on the floor or really shoot the ball. But he does shoot the ball from the free throw line pretty well, so it'll be interesting to see how that translates at the next level. Looking at his, looking at his defensive ability, he's got a pretty high ceiling there with his ability to switch, as we said, on screens, but also guard the block and protect the rim as well. And interestingly enough, he's a solid fit beside Blake Griffin. Going at 6th to the New York Knicks, they have Deni Avdiji of Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Israeli Premier League. Avdiji is 19 years old, 6'8", 220 with a 6'10" wingspan. He's kind of a playmaking forward. Ability to grab and go, his ability to kind of set up the offense on the break, push the break, and see the floor. He's solid as a secondary ball handler, especially in the pick and roll in the half court. His shooting is going to be a big question mark, and his ability to kind of create from a standstill in the half court will also need to be seen how that translates. But there's a lot of stuff to like there when you see him grabbing the ball, pushing the floor, making great reads and plays off the break. Looking at number 7, the Chicago Bulls got Obi Toppin out of Dayton is where they project. 22 years old, 6'9", 220, got 6'11" wingspan. Obviously 22 years old, he's the oldest player being looked at in this top 10, but he exploded this past year. He per 40 stats, 25.3 points. He averaged 9.5 boards, 2.7 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.3 blocks, 63% from the field, and he hit 39% from threes on 82 makes. The name of his game is explosion. He's able to ferociously kind of attack the rim. He's also able to step out, as saw, he shot 39% from 3 this year. Defensively, he's kind of a tweener. He's not really a 4, not really a perimeter, not really a post defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that translates to the game. And his offensive game is a little bit vanilla. While he made the 39% threes, he's got kind of a slow release. He's solid at attacking off the bounce, but not great. Really great rim running, really great in the dunk spots. He's like a gazelle in transition. There's a lot of stuff to like there. People have been calling him Amari Stoudemire and all that. There's a lot of stuff to like here, and this is somebody who could go higher than 7th in this draft. 8th, the ESPN guys, Charlotte Hornets, had Precious Achiuwa from Memphis. 20 years old, 6'10", 234 pounds with a 7'2" wingspan. His per 40 stats at Memphis last year as a freshman were 20.7 points, 14.2 rebounds, 1.4 steals, 2.5 blocks. He made 43s and shot 49% from the field. However, looking at what he did, his big question mark is his feel for the game. 1 assist every 2.8 turnovers per game. That's pretty high. Does he have the natural feel, and can he shoot the ball? Can he make the shots? He shoots the ball, but can he make it? He's a big, long, powerful presence. He runs the floor well, has some straight line explosion, and he's a very good rebounder, solid motor, gets the ball out of his area and stuff. He's able to attack off of the bounce in the stretch 4 type of situation. He blocks shots, he gets in the passing lanes. His question is his feel. I mean, does he have the feel? Does he have the ability to knock down the shots, which will all enhance his ability to get downhill and do all that stuff. 9th to the Washington Wizards, Gavoni and Schmitz had Tyrese Halliburton 19 years old, 6'5", 173 pounds, 6'8" wingspan out of Iowa State. His per 40 stats last year: 16.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, 7.7 assists. He shot 41.9% from three on 52 makes and 50.4% from the field goal. His big thing is his IQ. He knows basketball. He's got an unbelievable feel for the game, and he's able to make players on the floor better. If you look at it, he had a 12.1 box plus minus and 25.7 PER. His IQ is just off the charts. He's a great passer. He's able to play well in the pick and roll, and he's a career 43% shooter from three. He played a lot off the ball last year at Iowa State, but he also played on the ball, in the FIBA World Games for Team USA. Obviously, at 173 pounds and 6'5", he's very slight, very thin, so that's going to be a huge question mark. And is he able to get past his man without using a screen? Those are going to be some question marks of him moving forward, but his IQ is really what carries him. And then 10th, the Phoenix Suns, Killian Hayes, 18 years old, 6'5", 200 pounds, 6'9" wingspan. He's a player who plays with great pace and confidence. He's played at a very high level internationally. He's a good point guard with good size and vision, but he can also play a little bit off the ball with his ability to shoot the ball, score the ball at all three levels. His athleticism is going to be a question. He's an average athlete. Is he able to get past his man without using a screen, and all that kind of stuff is going to be kind of the question mark with him, which may in turn cause some GMs and stuff to limit his upside. But for right now, ESPN draft has him going 10th to the Phoenix Suns. As we all know, rankings and mock drafts and all that stuff are fluid, with even the ability to change from game to game, let alone throughout the course of a year. We took a look at a previous mock draft Jonathan and Mike did in, when was it, January of last year. And we wanted to take a look and to see where those guys from January of last year, take some notes as to where, June of 2019 to April of 2020, where it was. And looking at the top 10, well, first off, before we get into it, in the comments below, tell us who you think the biggest sleeper in the 2020 draft is. Maybe somebody that's not being talked about right now, maybe somebody that's not in the ESPN top 10 that you think should be, or maybe your favorite player from your favorite school. Drop a name in our comments as to a player you think is the biggest sleeper in the 2020 draft. But in searching the top 10 from June of last year to the top 10 of April of this year, the top two remained the same. They at that point in time had James Wiseman going number 1 and Anthony Edwards going number 2. Those two are both the same. They just rotate them. They switch them back and forth. The only other two players who were actually still in the top 10 at that point in time was Denny Abaji at 5 and Precious Achiuwa at number 10. They're obviously still in the top 10 now. 3 of the other players were ranked in the 20s. They weren't ranked in the top 10, but they were still first-round guys going in the 20s. With LaMelo Ball was at 24, Killian Hayes at 21, and Tyrese Halliburton at that point in time was at 25. And then in June of last year, there were 3 players who are currently in the top 10 who were not even ranked at all, going with Isaac Okoro, Onyeka, Okongwu, and Toppin. None of those 3 were in the thing. So it's just kind of neat to see how things transpire and move, and the fluidity within the mock drafts going, preseason into the season, and now postseason heading up to the draft. Those are a couple things. So jumping in over here, we want to talk about some players who were not within the ESPN top 10, who we think could possibly jump into the top 10. Guys to take a look for, guys who could have good surges as more films being watched, as they do some Zoom interviews and their agents are able to push for them a little bit more. Guys who could take surges into the lottery moving forward. But before we get into it, in the comments below, let us know a player that you like that's outside of the top 10. We just went through the ESPN top 10 and who they were. Who's a player outside the top 10 that you like? Put it in the comments below. We're eager to see it. We want to go through it and converse with you and all that kind of stuff. One player to watch, Jamias Ramsey, Texas Tech, 6'4", 195. He's got a nose for the ball and plays with an unbelievable toughness. Defense is not a thing for him. Rebound is not a thing for him. He's a guy who enjoys doing the stuff that nobody else likes to do. And in looking at this year's game, one of the most valuable players this year was Marcus Smart within the NBA. And he's kind of made that in vogue. And Jamias Ramsey has that same kind of skill set that Marcus Smart had. And it'll be eager to see how he ends up doing in the draft. But I think that there's a clear path for him to being a successful NBA player. Next is Col Anthony, 6'3", 185 out of UNC. Everybody knows Col Anthony at this point in time last year. He was a top 3 pick in the draft, consensus top 3 pick. He had an off-college season. Now, some of that was due to him. Some of that was due to his situation that he was in. But he's still got the same explosion. He's still got the same ability to create. He's still got the same ability to play in the half court. He's still got the same confidence. He's still got all the same tools that he had when he was making big-time plays against the best of the best when he was in high school. Don't be surprised to see if he outplays where his stock's at right now at the next level. Col Anthony is somebody that I think will have a nice NBA career. Looking forward to Saddiq Bey of Villanova, 6'8", 216 pounds. He's the quintessential 3-and-D player. He's got length, quick twitch, and the versatility to defend both the perimeter, switch down onto some stuff on the block, but really be a lockdown guy on defense. And he shot 44% from 3 last year at Villanova. Villanova is a high-level team, especially defensively. There's not a lot of not a lot of transition from Villanova to the NBA. Obviously, the speed of the game and stuff and everything's great, but they're well taught at Villanova is what I'm trying to say. Saddiq Bey comes in after his sophomore year, and he shot 44% from 3, 6'8". He's able to guard multiple positions in the NBA, 3-and-D guy. I think he's somebody who could sneak into the lottery and have a long NBA career because, as you notice in the NBA, every good team has, every playoff team has a 3-and-D guy that they rely on that plays heavy minutes. And then Aaron Nesmith, 6'6", 213 out of Vanderbilt. The sophomore shot the ball at a high clip. He's probably the best shooter in this entire draft. And when you couple that with the fact that he's 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan, weighing 213 pounds, he's got the positional size. And he shot 52% from 3 this year on 115 attempts. Unbelievable numbers there. Sure, he lacks some handle and he lacks some creation ability. But just as a flat-out shooter, both off movement and off the catch, Aaron Nesmith at 6'6", 215 with a 6'11" wingspan certainly fits that bill. In today's NBA, shooting is such a value, especially shooters with size. That he's somebody who could sneak into the lottery and really produce well at an NBA level. So those are some players who fell outside of the ESPN's top 10, but they're players that you should continue to watch to see how they move from here into the draft. And then moving on to kind of our top 10, we're going to take a look at where ESPN had the levels, the teams. Take a look at the teams and see who we would draft in those slots and go through it. In the meantime, before we get started on that, in the comments below, let us know who your favorite NBA team is. We're eager to hear from you. Let us know what team you watch, what team you follow, and who your favorite team is. And we're eager to start conversing with you and getting some things going there. But number 1 overall, Golden State, we got LaMelo Ball. He's a lengthy creator. He's able to space the floor. He can play in the pick and roll, be a great fit beside Steph Curry. And he gives that length, going with Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and everything moving forward. We think LaMelo Ball is the best fit there. At number 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Denny Avdija. We have he's a playmaking 4-man who slots very nicely in between the Love Drummond and Sexton Garland Porter kind of things. You got Love and Drummond as the 4-5-5s, the posts. You got the wings, guards, perimeter guys, Sexton Garland Porter. Avdija is a great compliment to those guys, his ability to push the floor and create and all that kind of stuff. Number 3 to Atlanta Hawks, we have the hometown boy, Anthony Edwards. Putting a volume guy like Anthony Edwards beside a volume guy like Trae Young, both guys are very excited having the ball in their hand. It could be questionable. However, if they make it work, talk about the dynamic backcourt that they're able to have to play alongside the likes of Clint Capella, John Collins, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, etc., etc. Anthony Edwards, if they can make that work, that would be an incredibly interesting look. Moving forward, number 4 to the Minnesota Timberwolves, Obi Toppin. Explosive, switchable, rim-running big, able to play beside Col Anthony Towns, and also play as a diver and pick and rolls with D'Angelo Russell. He's also possibly may bring some toughness to the table to that team. We like to look at that there. Detroit Pistons, number 5. We had the same pick as the ESPN guys, Onyeka, Okongwu. Obviously, the question here is going to be James Wiseman or Okongwu. We like Okongwu's fit beside the playmaking ability of Blake Griffin. He's a versatile defender who can switch and protect the rim, and he's also very good on the block offensively. It's a good complement there to Griffin, and he can move and protect the rim and switch and do all that stuff. Number 6, the New York Knicks, hometown boy Col Anthony. The Knicks will probably most likely do everything they can to move up and get LaMelo Ball. If all that stuff kind of falls through, their attempt to acquire Terry Rozier at the trade deadline showed that they're kind of unhappy, eager to move on a point guard. Cole's dynamic. Cole's got a sellable personality. He's used to the spotlight. New York's his home. His dad, Greg Anthony, obviously played for the Knicks as well. Col Anthony just seems to check a lot of boxes. And with the Knicks wanting to move on a point guard, Col Anthony, again, kind of fits the bill there. Moving to number 7, the Chicago Bulls, Isaac Okoro. At the 4-5, they have Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter. At the guard, Zach LaVine and Kobe White both had great years. So it kind of makes sense to kind of split the difference in there and get a two-way wing. A guy who's able to kind of defend all over the floor, but also do some passing and bring some athleticism and stuff to that wing position. Split the difference, great compliment there. Number 8, the Charlotte Hornets, James Wiseman. On the periphery, this kind of looks like a drop, but in looking at kind of the fits and the draft position of these teams, this one's a very feasible thing that might make sense. With the success that Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier had together last year, and then the high draft picks that they had with Miles Bridges and PJ Washington, and the success that those guys had too, they need a 5. James Wiseman jumps right in there. And looks the part. I mean, he runs the floor well. He's got athleticism and length and stuff. And it'll be a very interesting look to the Charlotte Hornets team. With him, moving forward, you have the Washington Wizards at number 9. We have Saddiq Bey going there. Of course, they need help with the 5, but kind of after Wiseman and Okongwu, the talent level drops off a little bit there. So I'm not entirely sure if there's somebody able to be picked at this point in time to play the 5. So looking at Beal and John Wall, and then also looking at the forward play of Davis Bertans and Rui Hachimura, you got Saddiq Bey right there in the middle of the 3 and D, quintessential guy who's able to guard all over the floor, who's able to make threes. That kind of had the Otto Porter feel to him. Had some success there. He's going to be a high floor type of player. He's not going to require a lot of touches or anything. He's going to be able to slot right in there, and there's a ready-made spot for him right there in the lineup. And then 10th to the Phoenix Suns, Tyrese Halliburton. I guess the never-ending question in Phoenix is, who do they fit beside Devin Booker? Halliburton's great in the pick and roll, but he can also play off the ball. When Booker's on the ball, they can put him in the corner as he shot. He's a career 43% guy from 3 at the next level. So he kind of fits there with the size, 6'5", solid length and anticipation, playing on and off the ball. That has the look of a pretty interesting backcourt moving forward. So that's our top 10. Kind of looking back at it all. ESPN's top 10, we said where they're at last year, some players to watch, and then also our personal top 10. So that wraps up our 2020 NBA draft talk, going through the ESPN mock draft. In the comments below, if you would, let us know what you think of ESPN's draft, what you think of our mock draft. Let us know your personal thoughts and all that. We look forward to it. We're going to put the link to this 2020 NBA ESPN draft in the description below as well. Until next time, I'm Jamie Shaw. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. And if you like the content, be sure to share it over your platforms as well. But until next time, thank you very much.